Hello and welcome to the Goon and Talk back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our reaction preview series, twinned with our expert member Sean. We're joined by one of our expert members very shortly to talk about Arsenal's match against Benfica on Thursday evening. We're going to get your thoughts, predictions in the chat box and get our predicted lineups in just a second. So let's crack on with it. Hello, Dan. How are you? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, and you?
Yes, not too shabby, mate. Not too shabby. I realize how dark it is in here. And I can't even turn the light on because my missus has plugged in an electric toothbrush. There we go. That's better.
Doesn't it?
Priorities, yeah. How are you? Are you well? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm still buzzing from the other day.
Do you want to show not only that, but you won something yourself? If you've got it to hand, that you can show that.
So I did.
A signed Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang photo montage. Fair play, Dan. Congratulations on winning that from our sponsor, Football Prizes. This week's prize is a pretty good one. A link in the description to Football Prizes website. You can win a signed Dennis Bergkamp shirt, all with the certificate of authenticity, etc., etc. So make sure you get your tickets for that, and we'll reveal which one of our members, it could be Dan again, has won our free ticket on Friday. Anyway, we're here to talk about Benfica, who we play tomorrow evening. It's come round quicker than I thought it would. Waiting for the Europa League to come back has always felt like it'd be quite a long time. But now we're in the new year. February has shot round incredibly quickly, and then this game has as well. But it is sandwiching between quite a few tricky Premier League fixtures for Arsenal. So do you think it could not have come at a worse time domestically for us?
Yeah, you're probably right. Because when we were last playing in the group stage, we weren't on the best league form, but our Europa League form was very good. So right now, I think we are on good form. Yeah, we had those 2 losses, but we're on good form. And now, do we need another few games to? It's a difficult one, really, because we've got a lot of players to play. But do you want to prioritise this or Man City or both? It's so difficult.
It's really hard to know what Arteta is going to kind of look to play a stronger squad in, because I imagine that with the history he has with Man City, with the position that we have in the league and how congested things are, I imagine that he will want to go into that game at the weekend still with a very strong squad. Luckily, though, we seemingly have got a much more strength in depth than we used to in most of the positions on the pitch. There are some, like left back, being really kind of thin on the ground right now. Tierney, though, is apparently pretty close to a return. He could even be back for this game. We're still waiting for confirmation on that. It's unlikely, but he's back in training as of today, I believe, and so could be a kind of a late pick for tomorrow's game. If anything, he hopefully will be back for the Man City game, which is huge. But if we have a look at your lineup, Dan, you've gone for Cedric at left back, which is one of your favourites.
It's more, I don't think Tierney will be absolutely 100%. I don't really want to risk him. And we've got Man City, and I'm not saying we're going to get 4th, but I don't want to give up on the league. And I think if Tierney plays in that game, we've got, I think, from 1% chance to 2% chance. So I think I'd rather keep Tierney for that game. And Cedric's been fine at left back, and it will make do. Yeah, it's still Bellerin, but give Bellerin a few more games. What harm can he do?
You didn't feel tempted to put Chambers in at right back then? I was kind of half expecting that, you know.
I to be honest, I really did want to do that, but I think his lack of game time, I'm not sure he'll necessarily be able to come into something like this, which is it's a game which we really need to win. We need to win the Europa League ideally, and if Chambers to go straight into that, it's a bit risky.
Something I was meant to ask you before the lineup is that obviously we're playing this at a neutral ground. I believe it's in Rome that we're playing tomorrow, and then we're playing the away leg in. It's not. Is it Greece? I think is the Olympiacos is home ground, which is basically our home ground. Part 2 is the Olympiacos home ground, but we're playing them in Rome, and this is the away leg. Benfica haven't actually lost, I think, in 24 attempts at home. So this actually could work in our favour. What do you make of the whole neutral ground thing?
It's a strange one, and the fact that away goals are still a thing, it's all a bit weird. But with COVID, it kind of had to happen. I think it could be very good for us, considering we actually seem to be quite good away now. And they're essentially 2 away games. And for them, they're much better at home. So, yeah, it could really work in our favour.
Yeah. Interesting. I'll let you explain your lineup because Anthony Michael's in the chat saying this team can't be for Benfica. So talk me through it. Why have you picked what you've picked there? Right, there's no Aubameyang. There's no Odegaard. There's no who else is in there that we've missed? Pepe's not in there.
I'll start from in goal. I went for Ryan.
I didn't.
I didn't think you would. Leno is obviously our best keeper. Ryan, he had a good game against Villa, and I think he is a very good goalie. And I wouldn't put it past. This is not necessarily what I would 100% go for, but kind of what I think Arteta might do. And I think Ryan really could play. And then we kind of talked about Bellerin and Cedric. Luiz and Holding, I think Holding was rested and he'll come straight back in. And then it's, do you put Gabriel there? Do you put Mari? But I think David Luiz will play. I just think he's played on that left side before. I think Gabriel will come probably back in for the City game, maybe. It's so difficult to choose. And then Xhaka Ceballos, I think they worked so well against Leeds. Even Bielsa said it was so hard to stop them. So I definitely want to keep that partnership going whilst Partey's out. And then this front four, it could have been 4 different players, to be honest. It's so hard to think. I think what has to be there is Smith Rowe or Odegaard in the 10. I chose Saka. I just think he's just too good. If we don't play him, we could lose. I just keep playing Saka. He's only 19. He can play three times in 8 days, I'm sure. So,
yeah.
And then Lacazette, I think he was rested. And then a lot of people would go for Pepe, and I was tempted, but I think Martinelli is good enough. I think if you saw this lineup against anyone, like the front four, you'd say they're good enough.
I think, I agree with you there. I think that the front four is certainly good enough to win this kind of tie with what we've got there. I think that Xhaka Ceballos is really the only kind of option with Partey out. I don't trust El Neni enough to play him. I like the fact that you've gone for Ryan. I personally haven't done that because I'm very much kind of the rotation of keepers is something I kind of struggle with to see the reason as to why, unless he's really kind of in the firing line. I don't think that Leno is at this stage, even after his hilarious stunt at Wolves. So I have got, let me just throw up my lineup onto the screen. I went for Odegaard at 10 over Emile Smith Rowe. I think has played a lot of games. I also haven't gone for Saka. I've given him a rest in this match. I feel like of the two, because we've got the second leg, that is an opportunity to right any possible wrongs, and this is the only chance to rest some key players. I've gone for Murray and Holding. I thought they did exceptionally well during the festive period together. And Luiz, I think, it's just always something about picking Luiz that I can't quite do, even though I know he's been very good for us at times. And he was very good going forwards, actually, at the weekend against Leeds. Xhaka Ceballos in the middle, I completely agree with you. I've thrown Pepe in again on the left-hand side because he worked really well on the left and he was rested against Leeds as well as Lacazette. Martinelli, I have put in over Saka on the right-hand side to give him those minutes. Aubameyang, I imagine, could still play this game. I'd be actually a little bit surprised if Aubameyang doesn't play. I just haven't put him into my personal lineup. I feel like Arteta will throw him in after getting a hat-trick. It's difficult to drop a player after he gets a hat-trick. But there's not too many differences, but I went for Odegaard to give Smith Rowe that rest. I mean, what do you make of any of the decisions there?
Yeah, I mean, anything. I think Martinelli on the right is a strange one, but then I wouldn't put... I think I like Pepe on the left. Odegaard or Smith Rowe is so difficult. I only say Smith Rowe because he was taken off earlier in the Leeds game, and I think he's not done anything wrong to not play this game. And I think Odegaard will probably come back in for City. Pablo Mari, maybe he hasn't played since his injury. Maybe he's a bit rusty, but if I saw your team in the lineup, I wouldn't be. I'd be happy, to be honest.
Yeah, I think there's so much choice now that we've got. We talked about that strength and depth. I think that we've got the option to do this. Let's have a look at what you guys are saying in the chat box. Marlon Morris says Tom has got the same team as I have picked. Gunn says I think he will play the same team at the weekend, with the exception of Tierney coming in for Cedric. Ansgar says, this isn't just to bash you, by the way, Dan. Ansgar says, I prefer Tom's 11. I want to see Pepe and Marie if the latter is fit. Sam says, I've just finished watching Charles Watts. He is of the opinion that we should go strong in Europa and rotate in the league. I haven't made up my mind yet. What are your thoughts? We'll get some thoughts on that in a second. Juan says, Tom not picking Louise. Why flies flying podcaster? Vinny says, I'll go with your lineup, Tom, with Saka, Aubameyang ready to come off the bench if needed. It's a good game to bring Marie back in. Anthony Michael says, the league is finished, which is why we should rest players for City and not for Benfica, and then go strong against Leicester. Interested that you think the league's I don't know if you meant to say the league isn't finished, because saying that we should then go strong against Leicester kind of counteracts that. So I'm assuming that you meant the other reason there. Ojo, who is in the chat, and Ojo, I invited you onto the show, mate. You just didn't see my message in time. Says, play Marie and Holding. Louise is too much of a liability to sacrifice the Europa League. So let's go back to that question from, where was it? Sam saying, what do you think about kind of going stronger in the Europa League and prioritising the Europa League?
I mean, I see a lot of places where everyone say, oh, the league is finished. Just put all your eggs in the Europa basket. But I don't think the league is finished. The seasons are weird. Like, it's a strange one. It's the weirdest I've been around, to be honest. But anything could happen. We're 6 points behind Liverpool, 8 points behind fourth. Yeah, we have Man City. We've got Leicester. I think we've got Spurs, maybe Burnley. But I think if there's one team that can beat City, it's probably not us. But
well, you say that. It would be very Arsenal to just show up and beat City after the horrible run that we've been on, lose to Villa and Wolves, and then beat City somehow, which would be very Arsenal. But that kind of concludes the preview side of things. And now we move on to score predictions. So if you do have one in the chat box that you'd like to throw in, now is your chance. So please, if you can think of any scoreline that you think is going to happen in tomorrow evening's game, please throw them in. Now, Dan, what's your ultimate prediction for tomorrow? How's the game going to play out?
Well, I've done a bit of background research on Benfica, not too much. They like to see a lot of possession.
A tactical breakdown on Benfica.
Not quite. They like to have a lot of possession. They have aging centre-backs. We all know Vertonghen and Otamendi and I think Jardel. So I think we can get them on the counter, maybe, which is why I think I put Martinelli in there, because I think his pace and his willing to press could help. It's a difficult one to predict. I'm going for 3-1 Arsenal. Okay. I think we're going to start really bright, like we did against Leeds. We're going to see maybe Saka and Smith Rowe combining, Lacazette scoring, and I think they'll get one at the end. So 3-1.
I obviously like the breakdown stuff. The interesting things are the centre backs, with the narrative that's there of Jan Vertonghen, left centre back, Nicolas Otamendi, former Manchester City, of course, Adel Taarabt, people remember as well. Everton, who was linked to us from Gremio a previous summer, and we're talking about wide players. I think that was the same summer that Pepe came in. We were linked to Everton previously, earlier on in the window, with like the Wilfried Zaha links as well. And then they've got Nunez up front, who is a very good young Uruguayan forward that's being linked with a lot of host of top clubs around as well. I'm hoping to do another preview show before the game as well, with a special guest, which I'll keep under wraps for now in case it doesn't happen, basically. But fingers crossed they will. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Did you say a scoreline, Dan?
Yeah, 3-1.
3-1. So Zorro says 2-0. I'm hoping that's to the Arsenal. Jared Carver says 2-1 to the Arsenal. Arsenal Granny says 2-1. Tom says 2-0. Joseph says 2-0. Femi says 3-1. Vinny 3-0. Dazza 2-0. Matt 3-1. James P 5-1. Adian says 3-1. Sam says 3-0. Ingars 2-1 Arsenal. Pepe and Aubameyang to score. Juan says 3-0 Arsenal. If Louise plays, though, it'll be 3-1. Does not like Louise one bit, does our Juan? I
think I agree with Vinny there. Cedric Screamer. It's about time. Yeah.
If Cedric scores a screamer, it will have to take precedence of the following podcast for sure. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Serginho says 1-0 to the Arsenal. Sam 3-0. Marlon 3-1 to the Arsenal. Ansgar says 3-1. Mr. Joe Kerr says 3-1 as well. Matt Williams says 6-3. Marlon 3-1. John says 0-0. Jabalani says 4-0 Arsenal. Easy. Ray says, Tom, I thought you said you were doing it at 9 a.m. England time, so I woke up at 4 a.m. looking forward to it. I'm so sorry, Ray. I'm really sorry, son. It was a little bit later on in the day. Apologies for that. So I'm sorry. I can't. It just didn't happen in the end. It just didn't happen. It didn't work out in time. There's lots of positive predictions, which is great to see. Of course, we will be back tomorrow straight after the game to react to things as and when they happen. I'll be joining Hugh, I imagine, as well for the watch along. So you'll be able to tune in for that as well. Thank you, Dan, for coming on this early afternoon to preview the game.
Yeah, cheers for having me. It's always lovely to be on, and just hope we can get another win to, I think, continue our decent form. And
decent is the word. It's not great. It's just decent.
I was looking earlier, and since Christmas we are third, so it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's very true. In form-wise, we have looked one of the better sides since the turn of the year, and fingers crossed these Europa League games can help us propel that a bit further, and going to the Man City game on the back of a win would be fantastic. And that game is what it is, basically, and we'll face it when it comes. Anyway, you can find Dan at 123DanArt on Twitter, and you can find him in the Discord, of course, if you join up to be an expert member. You can find us at the Gooner Talk TV and at Tom Canton Media on Twitter. There should be a player profile coming out this evening on Joel Lopez for 101. Of course, a young Spanish left-back who could deputise at left-back for Arsenal in the near future should we have injury issues with Tierney like we have experienced. So you may want to check that out. Make sure you drop a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and make sure you return to us straight after the game for the Benfica match. We'll see you again very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.